All rise. The Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the October 2013 term with Honorable Judge Stevens presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioners.
Thank you, Judge, colleagues, members of the audience. My guest today for the invocation is Pastor John Head. I will ask him to come forward. Minister of Worship Arts at Salvation Church. Pastor Johnny Head was born in Garland, Texas, and lived most of his young life in Texas. His parents moved the family to Arkansas right before he started high school. After graduation, Pastor Head went to college on a full classical piano and voice scholarship. He is a graduate of Central Baptist College in Conway, Arkansas, and holds a Bachelor of Science in Church Music and Counseling. He has served as worship and youth pastor in various churches throughout the state of Texas, Arkansas, and Alabama. Pastor Head has been an ordained minister since 1997. He returned to Dallas in 2004, where he has served as worship pastor at Cathedral of Hope and Crossroads Community Church. He joined the staff of Southwood Church in Oak Cliff as Minister of Worship Arts in May of this year. Pastor Head believes in the power of worship to heal all areas of our lives. He has the privilege of leading worship before small, intimate groups as well as large corporate gatherings of thousands of people. Pastor Head is a resident of Oak Cliff and is proud to call Oak Cliff home. Southwood Church is celebrating this year the 50th anniversary of its beautiful sanctuary and is in the Kingswood area and happens to be in Pastor Head's neighborhood. That is why his passion for his church is so strong. He believes that the church's responsibility is to reach out and help his neighbors. That has been the focus of his ministry since joining the staff of Southwood. Pastor Head and his partner of 9 years, Todd Gaston, who is also a pastor at Southwood, have 2 daughters and 2 sons, all teenagers, ages 19 to 14. In his spare time, Pastor Head enjoys traveling and teens, playing the piano, writing music, and spending time with his family. Thank you, Pastor, for joining us.
You bow your heads as I pray, please. Dear loving God, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the health you give us to fulfill our callings, for your provision, and for your friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in meaningful work and for the honor of taking care of the responsibilities given to us. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so from your amazing grace and mercy. In the scriptures you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our county judge, for the various levels of county officials, and in particular for this assembled commissioners' court. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the difficult interests and issues of our times, a sense of the true needs of our people, a strong thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and right, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved Dallas County. In your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Thank you.
We have one resolution this morning that Commissioner Daniel and I are jointly presenting. We move for its adoption. I'll read that resolution. Will a delegation from the National Association of Mental Illness please come forward? And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas serious mental illness such as depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, severe anxiety disorder, borderline personality disorder, and Post-traumatic stress disorder affect 1 in every 4 people annually. And whereas serious mental illness is a highly treatable medical illness of the brain posing the same concern as cancer, heart disease, diabetes, or other illness, and whereas scientific research is producing tremendous breakthroughs in the area and understanding of mental illness, resulting in more effective treatment to allow people to reclaim full and productive lives. And whereas mental illness affects men, women, children, including our returning servicemen and women. And whereas misunderstandings exist about mental illness and social culture, often wrongly imposes a stigma on mental illness. And whereas NAMI, Dallas Inc., an affiliate of the National Alliance of Mental Illness, encourages our greater Dallas community to observe Mental Illness Awareness Week every October. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby proclaim October 6th through October 12th as Mental Illness Awareness Week in Dallas County, and commends NAMI, Dallas Inc. for its essential work in this area, and I so move along with Dr. Dean.
You so moved?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. That motion passes unanimously. Do you have some words for us?
Just wanted to say thank you very much.
Sherry, will you introduce yourself for the record?
You bet. I'm Sherry Cusimano. I am the president of Naughty Dallas and also work at Greenhouse Hospital. And I'm very grateful. Thank you for the resolution.
Okay.
And the delegation. Sherry, what Sherry Judge
Yeah.
has not said is that not only does she work for Greenhouse, but she's very active on the behavioral health leadership team and has been an integral part of subcommittees of that particular committee and has been very, very, very active. And I'm sure the rest of the delegation wants to introduce themselves as well. Been very active, and had it not been for Green Oaks, with the challenges we've had lately with regards to Parkland Health and hospital systems, we would have definitely been in a lurch. Having worked with NAMI before, having been a recipient of NAMI before, I continue to appreciate the work that they do in the community.
Thank you so much for sharing that effort, Commissioner Price, and thank you for your involvement, Commissioner Kennedy.
Well,
Do you want to introduce the rest of the leadership?
you come forward and
Marsha Rogers, the director of Non-Dallas.
Leah Williams, the Community Outreach Coordinator of Naughty Dallas.
And John Dorn, I'm the Washington of Naughty Dallas.
Thank you very much. And something else. Something else that they haven't mentioned too is the impact of some of the things they do on the behavioral health leadership team. One of the main focus of this coming up here will be addressing the stigma of mental health. And I know the efforts of your organization and then spearheading providers, the hospitals, law enforcement, just the group of people, the many stakeholders involved in mental health in Dallas County, with your leadership, that we are addressing those very, very real barriers to people receiving the help that they need. So much appreciate your efforts in the broader context of what we're all trying to do here.
And also working with other organizations. Naughty Dallas has done a great job in partnership, not only with the behavioral team, but with the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority as well. And while some of the components remain the same, the reality is that it's always a challenge to address so many needs, like Commissioner said, at so many levels. So we need to continue to work together. And Naughty Dallas has done that. So thank you and well deserved. And more importantly, this week, which is Mental Health Awareness Week. Thank you for being here.
Well, Judge Love, let me just, I know the minister prayed this morning. It's extremely difficult in light of what happened in Washington last week. I just find it real peculiar. Unfortunately, a lot of these situations get handled differently depending on, I guess, who the object is, or the object of concern. And while that was nothing short of a travesty, I'm still having difficulty in terms of how law enforcement is trained and how they're able to handle certain situations. And that clearly appears to be an issue around mental health in this country. And the fact that there's not either training or the appropriate training with regards to how to handle some of those events. I'm having some real trepidation about how to address that. In light of just what I saw visually, I wasn't there. But the opportunity seemed to present itself a number of times where, either the tires or the car could be taken out as opposed to 26 bullets in the individual. So I still say we've got a long ways to go in this country in terms of how we deal with the issue of training with regards to mental.
One thing I like about what y'all are doing this week, and I want to challenge y'all to keep doing this, and challenge our media partners to focus on this as well. I didn't write this resolution, I'm assuming y'all did. We focused a lot on the criminal aspects of the fact that 25% of people in our jails had serious mental illness. We focus a lot on our homeless population has mental illness. But we don't focus on that mental illness. There are brilliant doctors and lawyers and teachers and preachers and managers and moms and dads and kids who have mental illness. And there is that stigma of that we've got to get rid of so people will get treatment. I see people coming home from serving their country and they don't want to get treatment because they feel stigmatized by it in the community and they're worried about their career if they admit they need treatment and they have serious problems coming from that. I was thinking, my wife and I were thinking about that last night. We were watching the show Homeland on TV and take the show Homeland. We don't get to watch a whole lot of TV, but last week we went to see Parkland, the movie Parkland. And in the movie Parkland points out what a bad back the president had and how they hid that from everybody and they had to give him shots all the time in his spine. On Homeland, it's a fictional show, but Carrie's got serious mental illness. But if it wasn't for, if it wasn't for Carrie, the bad guys would win. And then, people like that all over. So whatever we can do as a community to erase that stigma so people get help. I think there is a correlation with some mental illness and some of the brilliant things. You see that in a lot of artists. Some components of some of these disorders that you've spoken about, the high prevalence of that in some of our more brilliant artists. So I really appreciate what you're trying to do to remove that stigma and help people get the treatment they need. Thank you.
How fortunate are we in Dallas County to have elected officials that speak our mission so very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your work.
Next item is our consent agenda is the motion of consent.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Judge, you can show me voting no, I don't have the checks, but knowing any payments that are related to the voter ID lawsuit approved on by Court Oct 2013-164.
Okay. Is there
voting no on the consent agenda if there's any checks that are pertaining to the voter ID lawsuit. That'd be an ongoing thing. So I have to watch the checks, or if the auditor wants to pull the checks that are specifically related to that.
But there's none on this one, right?
Correct, there are none on this specific agenda. I understand it to be a running objection or running.
If they'll just notify me when there are, then I'll make that objection on that.
You don't want to pull it off the consent, you don't vote it. That's all right. Okay, all right, that's fine.
And that's precedent for that, I've done that before, running objections, so, precedent. Right.
All right,
Thank you.
so you're going for it. Okay, so it was unanimous vote for the consent agenda with that running objection. You get that? And now we'll consider corridors 9 through 40. And by the way, I apologize, I got a cold or something.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on 9 through 40?
Just wanted to say hats off to Mr. Warren and helping the county come up with 21st century, and Wi-Fi is now complete, I think, in this building. Is that true? Not quite? It's being ordered, and I know that the DA's office really appreciates everything that we're able to help.
That's great. It will make us much more efficient with regard to getting the information that we need downloaded and analyzed and reviewed. Thank you very much, Mr. Warren and Mr. Dick and board
It should be completed in about a month, the installation.
Okay.
And you will let us know, Mr. Warren, you will send us a nice email saying, you know, Wi-Fi,
I can do that.
you know, capable. And the codes and everything that comes with being Wi-Fi.
Excuse me?
If we would have any codes or any process
It
to
would
get.
be the same as in the courtroom, so.
Okay. And we will be taught to understand some of that technology pretty soon.
Absolutely. This week.
This week, right? I know I'm in the schedule, so. Thank you, Mr. Warren. Thank you, Commissioner.
Take this opportunity, it's in the agenda, but continue to commend the juvenile department. I know, like y'all know, there's been the juvenile board, that appropriation in terms of our annual budget. And while a lot is being said in regards to what's going on in Washington, what we've seen here in the state of Texas is a constant cutback in terms of grants. And we've seen that in this department, even in its management has managed to augment that with managing the population on slot. But I do want, we got 3 on the agenda today, and they're very specific with Anna Casey, Youth Ranch, and another one. But I just want to say to the department, continue to appreciate staying ahead of that curve and continue to deal with issues.
You know, Commissioner, we are very fortunate with our juvenile board. Our department is, if you look at those across the state and see how that they are managing that.
They're not doing, yeah, and that's what I want to take down.
Absolutely.
And you know, you and I were around here when that was not the case. We kind of have a different board here in Dallas County, but one that understands and works in sync with this court and definitely understands the mission and they carry out the mission. So you're exactly correct.
There's a lot of more adversarial in the court.
Exactly. So I just, Doctor.
Maybe new on the court, but going to statewide meetings and hearing about the reputation of the juvenile department here in Dallas County, it makes you stand up a little taller. So thank you for all those extra efforts that you put in and making it work and bring a lot of different kinds of resources and creativity together. Our kids need it here in Dallas County. There's hands down, no questions asked. So it's nice to get those words from around the state of how we staff up.
Also, you know, I need to, you know, commend my colleague, Commissioner Price, because, you know, you have to gather boards, you know, different departments, different judges, a lot of different entities to make it juvenile department work, and of course, striving for diversity and, you know, outreach in the community, which is extremely important. So, thank you, Commissioner Price. Congratulations, Dr. Smith. I think that But moving along with all the services that have to be renewed every year, for the betterment of the youth.
That was a lot of work. We appreciate it.
And I just want to say thank you to all the commissioners for your support, especially Vice, who is the vice chair of the board, but we've had very much support from Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Andrew, and even Judge Jenkins. So we're very fortunate to have the level of support we do from our community partners and from our elected officials. So thank you very much.
Judge, by request of the district attorney's office and the sheriff department, they'd like to hold Court Order 18 and bring back at a later date. They would need to review that agreement with the textile and HOB lane enforcement.
18. And may I ask why? Is that for review?
Just for reviewing the contract with textile and one with
And we just got past this, what is it?
That's for a reading item that's coming up.
What's coming up?
Okay. So, would you please let me know? I mean,
But we knew, anticipated that, so that's.
Okay, well, I mean, I would like to review it before I'm at the horseshoe, if you all don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know about your measurements, but they're in full force and effect.
We will retro back to the beginning of the fiscal year because the finances are done that. If they just want to reword some of the performance measures so it doesn't imply that there may be a ticket for it.
I drove it last week up to Castor. I drove 30, which is. I drove down the side just to see what they did. And
I know how fast you go, Commissioner. Y'all need to be great.
I made sure. But they were in full force mode.
Did he drive down the side, Sheriff? You'll catch him.
I wasn't in the lane.
But
Did
he
you
pays,
cross the white line?
but he pays his tickets, right? Which is the most important part. We need the revenue.
But your guys were out in full force.
Yes, sir.
The day after, so just want you to know that on both lanes, but especially on third. I think what has happened is everybody has gotten comfortable, and that there has been no enforcement for about a year or so. And then all of a sudden, there were about at least on 30, there appear to be about 5 to 6 guys with the entry for the force.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and so you were in full force, I'm gonna monitor to see what comes out of that, so. Okay. Yeah, Kevin. Pull 18.
Yes.
Major second reading. Any further discussion on 9 through 40, pulling 18? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. All right. This takes us to our briefing session, which consists of items to be considered in executive session. Mr. Martin, please say the briefing session.
Morning, Judge Commissioners. Item 1, Health and Human Services. 1A, that Court of Assuming Reform Agenda. 1B, recommend approval of the Centers for Disease Control Prevention Grant Strengthening Public Health Infrastructure for Improved Health Outcomes. Item C, recommend approval of renewal agreement for subcontracting child immunization services with the City of Richardson. Item D, that court order is on your formal agenda.
Mr. Martin, let me just ask, I know we don't want to get into the same profile of West Island. Mr. Thompson, with regards to our flu season, where are we with regards to either vaccine, sufficient vaccine for either children or adults? Just kind of where is Dallas in that profile?
Well, today, I think two things. One, Dallas County Health and Human Services has received our adult and children's flu vaccine. One thing, Dallas County Purchasing Department, they secured the adult vaccine for children, and provided us an ample supply of the children's flu vaccine. What the difficulty is in terms of the second point is that we have to encourage Dallas County residents to come in early and take their flu shots. What we find traditionally is that if we see people come in later in the year and our supplies go down in terms of flu vaccines, then it's very difficult to do a reorder. So it's incumbent upon Dallas County residents to come in now. I'll be bringing forward a court order probably at the end of the month on my traditional process of allowing people to come in and get the flu shot at a reduced cost. Right now it's $20, but we don't see the uptick in people coming in. Now the difficulty is, as I explained, due to the federal shutdown, there's no way to track the trends of flu cases throughout the United States because the CDC website is down. But be that as it may, we're encouraging Dallas County residents to come in now. It's not too early. We provided the flu shot to our employees here in Dallas County, and we're just hoping that residents come in early.
But how much of a barrier do you believe the $20 is with regards to getting the immunization?
Well, if you look at it, the Medicare recipients who come in, senior citizens are really the backbone of the recouping the financial piece of the vaccine that we order. I think the barrier is two things. One, most residents just don't believe in taking the flu shot. It may be cultural, it may be a distrust in terms of the flu vaccine. So we're working through those barriers. We think that those are the contributing factors that people are very hesitant. Now, what we found last year when we had 2 pediatric deaths, there was an uptick in people wanting to get the flu shot. So normally when you have a flu outbreak or you have a flu-related death, then people start coming in. But right now, our staff is, we were out on Saturday, we'll be out again this Saturday throughout the week. We're going almost 24/7 in terms of promoting getting the flu vaccine. But the interest on the public has to be, I want to get the flu shot.
I noticed this morning on our agenda was the whole issue with the, I guess I call it the Jewish Family Services, and I know that's just a piece to the Visiting Nurses Association with regards to our meals. Do we have, are we doing it in our older adults centers, and are we able to utilize that vehicle to kind of get the word out? I can't think most of those people are probably, I call them homebound.
Homebound. Well, two things happened on that again. One, as we did the Flu Plus U program last week, I believe, I'm in so many places, I believe that was last week, and we were able to deal with over 65 years of age and a number on 60 and older, not just 60 years old, but 60 and older.
We got it.
Target group. And so when you look at it, that population, it may be homebound, we focused on that, but we focused on our senior centers who are very active. Homebound, we direct our staff to go out there and provide services. But those homebound programs need to also contact us to let us know as well, so we can get flu vaccine available to their nurses who are going into those homebound situations. But there's enough flu vaccine on hand right now. Again, always predicated on the fact that if residents wait to the last minute, our dosage is going down each week. But if we get getting late in December, there's no way you can reorder the vaccine.
So, but Zach, to hit the highlights on that, since people aren't utilizing the services fully right now, the wait time is almost nothing to get your flu vaccine.
No problem.
No wait time, plenty of parking, plenty of capacity at Health and Human Services on I-35, and people go to dallascounty.org for other locations, correct?
That's correct. And also on the cost, I think our cost is cheaper than the pharmacy.
It is cheaper than the pharmacy, and I went to my doctor for my annual physical, and they said, do you want a flu shot? And I said, what does that cost? And they said, it's free. And I said, well, ain't nothing free. I said, what do y'all charge the insurance company? And they said, I don't know, it's something less than $200. So we charge $20. What we charge for your kids too?
$5
for kids, yeah.
But if you have Medicaid.
Medicaid covers it or Medicare covers it. There's really no reason for residents not to come and get the flu shot.
And I just want to, not only recognize Mr. Thompson, which, I know he worked very hard when there was no virus, and now he's working very hard in the flu season as well. we have the opportunity to be part of the BAPS Charities Health Fair last Saturday. Mr. Thompson and I, the department was recognized, the Health and Human Services Department was recognized for, not only having their staff, which, want to commend the Health and Human Services staff for having 100 vaccines right there. The health fair, I understand, had more than 1,000 people, Mr. Thompson. It was a big success. And, I just want to commend Mr. Thompson, fantastic job. Then I left to another event. This one was not in Irving. This was, Cliff. And I have the opportunity to see again the Health and Human Services staff, not only with the flu vaccinations, with HIV testing as well. So I know they were very busy this last Saturday, and I want to commend you. The day I took my flu shot, Mr. Thompson has the building bought. I mean, he knows immediately when we walk in. So, as soon as I put foot in that, in the office, someone was there with the camera. And I tried to smile, but it looks a little fake, and I didn't feel anything. I want to encourage everyone to go ahead and take your flu shot. I mean, like the judge said, it was fast, it was easy, there were no lines, and more importantly, we control, any possible epidemic that we can have in that state. So,
Mr. Thompson is everywhere. Because
Yes.
I was at Pleasant Grove, and there was both the HIV testing and the flu shots at a health fair there at the Eastfield Pleasant Grove campus. So thank you for your ever-presence, pervasiveness.
that's why he stays so trim. He runs everywhere, right? Thank you, colleagues, thank you.
Item 2, juvenile. These items were brought before the juvenile board. 2A, recommend approval of mutual agreement between the Academy for Academic Excellence, Texas Educational Service and Curriculum Collaborative, and authorize the charter school board president to sign the user agreement on behalf of the charter school board. Item 2B, recommend approval of the request to reimburse Title 40 residential service providers according to the new Title 40 reimbursement rate structure which went into effect on September 1st. Item C, recommend approval of the purchase of the Pearson NovaNet computer program for the Academies for Academic Excellence. Item D, recommend approval of the 2014-2015 biennial state financial assistance contract and subsequent amendment to Texas Juvenile Justice Department, and that the chairman of the juvenile board be authorized to sign this contract. Item E, recommend approval of the purchase of the Odyssey Ware computer program for the Dallas County Academy for Academic Excellence. And item F, recommends that memorandum of understanding be approved for the 2013-2014 academic school year between the Academy for Academic Excellence and the Dallas County Sheriff's Department for the provision of 2 school resource officers.
Let me just say, because I got 2 things that I'm jumping here. Dr. Smith said earlier, right now, kind of, dealing with the Sheriff's Department, a lot of these detached positions. And I noticed in some of the information that I was sent last evening that in this area I'm showing it appears very detached. Sheriff, is correct? We've got to do something different. This detached stuff, I know that we've been dealing with it forever, and we've got to do something different in regards to it. We need those officers in the Academy for Academic Excellence. We can't operate that school without them. So I've got to figure out something different with regards to this people. And as you said, we're going to get all these detached positions. But at some point in time, when I look up and I see people have been detached for the length of time I'm seeing, I'm having some real problems with that. At some point in time, the budget ought to be the budget, locked down, we need them there, continue to locate the money to fund them to some degree, but they're detached. So, and I know at one time, the constables were doing that. So we've got to figure out something different. I mean, it's just got to do another figure. So I haven't gotten all of the big detached positions for you, and I'm asking the department for all of it. Because at the end, that's it. That door shuts, and then we got to start figuring out what's going on. if they move a detached position, I want to get the auditor to figure out how we don't pay them. Once we come to that conclusion.
Once we get a complete list of the detached positions, we can have a dialogue. We're going to have a very difficult time doing much as it results to, because of state law. State law basically states, once we fund the position, the elected official can choose to use that funded position in any manner they wish. That doesn't mean that the next year you can't come back and decrease their staffing based on the fact that they made that choice. But it doesn't work real well either. So we can have a dialogue about it and see how it works.
Well, you know, when I look up and I see, I mean, we've got to have officers at the school. And
the school is willing to fund one officer for 9 months. And so the sheriff's office and the school feel that they need to have 2 officers for 9 months a year. And so in order to do that, the sheriff's office detached one of their warrant officers to go work at the school.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, should the school be required to fund 2 officers for 9 months?
Well,
Which I don't believe they have funds for.
well, we're paying for one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get it, if we need 2 officers at the school, and apparently, given the history there, and if you've ever been over
Given the history there, I think that, and given the student body of that school, I think it's probably perfectly appropriate to have 2 officers.
the demographic population.
And part of that issue is the safety and security with the 2 officers there. And we've looked at other avenues, but the issue becomes if we use another security agency, they cannot arrest the kids should that become an issue. So with the sheriff's office, they can do all that, bring them over to detention, they can book them in, as opposed to pay someone and then have the sheriff's department be dispatched to our location for arrest. So, you know, our goal is to not to have arrest in there, to have a program that will be self-sustaining, but I have to thank the sheriff's department because without their support and their assistance, we wouldn't be able to maintain what we do have. So we're very appreciative of the sheriff's office.
And they've adjusted each time we've said that, like you said, we've appropriated 1, wanted to be 2, they did. But now, I mean, there's some other issues with them with all these detachments.
So in this particular case, you had a detached officer for many years, as you noticed in the data. And so the question becomes, they probably don't need the officer in warrants right now. They've lived without it for over 10 years.
Well, see, and again, see that's.
So now you get in the issue of, do you just treat that second officer as a cash batch on the county side, and you can move it into with a grant and allow it to then show up on the list as a non-detached officer, or do you allow it to continue to be on the detached officer list, but at least you know why it's there and continue to be there. The nuance of why it works the way it's done is that the 2 officers return back for 3 months a year and work in warrants.
Right, exactly.
Because obviously during
Schools
there's no need for the officers. So they do return back to their original assignments for that period of time.
Okay.
So this may be one of those that it just makes sense and we just acknowledge that it's on the detached list, but it makes sense because and we know why we're doing it this way. But there's others that we do, there's several at the academy that we need to have a dialogue that have been there for many years. There's several that are in QA that we need to have a dialogue on. So there's a variety of them. And you're right, we haven't seen the complete list yet because I do know they're over there working.
Because there's no difference in training or abilities or anything?
No. It's a peace officer, and as a matter of fact, the peace officers have been doing the school resource officers so long. They know the students better, they know the procedures better, it works well.
We may want to talk about just where that funding is, so it's more direct as opposed to always having the asterisk by those 2 officers.
And Commissioner Daniel, in response to that, we did send the 2 officers because they're pretty stable. And we sent them to the school resource officer training that they offer for the national conference. So we do train them on the school resource officer and what they need to be able to deal with the juveniles. So we have that.
So they have special training. What the difference between the 2
Right.
is.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Item 3, elections, recommend approval of the attached list of election judge and alternate judge appointments for the remainder of the 2012-2014 term. Also recommend the 26 Wayne Tyler as an early voting ballot board judge, as well as approve a number of 16 board members for the November 5th, 2013 constitutional amendment joint election.
I have a clarification about this. Just what is the operational impact of this, just so we're clear?
In terms of the appointment
In
of this child.
terms of what's being done for the time period. Because it looks like the election judges and alternate judges are appointed for the 2014, for the remainder of the 2014 term, is that right?
Right, and the term does end July,
In July.
in July of 2014.
But then
So
the
that
ballot,
summer we'll come back with either the same people or another list for you to approve for the 2014, 2015.
and looking at the list, there are a number of replacements and filling of vacancies on this. I mean, so I'm being a little familiar with it, it seems
Right,
like
and what the court decided that 20 days before the election, both parties can make recommendations. And so this is the final court date for, within the 20 days for the court to, for the parties to make, to fill these vacancies. And we had some last minute, yeah, for the November. So we do have some, changes from what you have in your book. We had some last minute changes. So always, yeah, up until 10 o'clock last night. So we do have some changes for you guys. And we have indicated, as Commissioner Garcia said, we have indicated what those changes are from within your book.
Well, I noticed, looking at it, that, you know, the way these election judges work is the gubernatorial candidate who got the most votes in the last governor's race, that party has the right to select the judges. And
That's correct.
The other party has the right to select the alternates. The gubernatorial candidate who got the most votes in the last race was Bill White, Democrat. But I noticed a lot of our judges were Republicans, so apparently the Democrats couldn't find judges to fill those spots. Do we have?
Well, it's by precinct.
It's
So if whatever gubernatorial candidate
by that precinct.
by that precinct, so if
Okay.
you won in that precinct, it's a Democrat.
So if Rick Perry won the precinct. then-
Right.
So, okay, well,
It's
that,
precinct by precinct.
then that may result in my question, my concern was, do we have election judges for every one of our precincts?
Not all of them. We still have some vacancies.
Okay.
But when it comes down to this election in November, we've kind of scaled down. We normally scale down for the constitutional amendment election. So those vacancies, we combine those precincts. So those vacancies that we still have, we have other judges from other precincts that are not going to be used. We can move them over. I have that right to, as the elections administrator, to move over those judges for those that tell us at the last minute that they can't work for some reason or another. That creates a vacancy.
So do we have enough judges for November, or do we need more judges?
No, we have enough judges for this November constitutional amendment election. It's one of our real small,
Turnout is
low.
no
You may look at 3%.
20%.
Tony, on the early voting ballot board judge, I noticed Ms. Tyler's being recommended.
Yes.
Has there not been a lot of complaints, I mean, with regards to her?
We don't have complaints in regards to Gwen Tyler. And I think you're probably talking about the judge previously.
What was that her judge's name? Do you remember? And I may be getting two mixed up, so I.
Yeah, the one that we had for Whiteout.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this is.
she replaced her.
Okay, so so there's no complaints on this topic?
No.
But the presiding ballot board judge will just be for the November 5th, 2013 election.
Correct. According to statute, the Commissioners Court appoints the judge for an odd year. Even year we go back to the election board.
Okay. And that's where it's the 5-member board. that-
Right.
So, okay.
But the Democratic Party chair would appoint, the 2014 election ballot projection.
They send in a list, and the election board makes the final approval.
I guess that what we're saying is we will approve this ballot for this, November election, and then I will follow the leadership of Democratic Party chair.
Okay, let me make sure I understand this. For 14, the court picks, right?
Just for this odd year election.
The court picks just for this odd year.
Right.
But for 14, then it's
For the November 14th election, it's the election board that would take from the recommendation from both parties who's going to be on the board for that particular November election.
And the primary also, right?
Now, the primary, those are party appointments. We don't have any jurisdiction over the primaries.
That's your contract.
Yeah, they contract with us, but the dates and the hours and the payment for the ballot board submitted from the parties are paid directly from the state. So they have to work within the state's budget, not the county, so that's why we don't know.
Thank you very much.
Judge and Commissioners, we do have a bring-up related to the election ID process. The state has stated that they won't provide free birth certificates until October 21st. So what I'd like to propose is that Dallas County go ahead and put the bill related to any birth certificates necessary for the voter election ID process. We'll have Virginia set up the process. We don't anticipate it to be too many. And it's $1.83 is the state cost that we would have to reimburse the state. The rest of it comes back to us.
Yes, Mr. Warren wanted to add anything.
There's $1.80 that goes to the state, and there's $1.83 that goes to the comptroller.
That's okay.
Those two, the rest of them would come back to us at the $23 cost.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Virginia will set up a process with John Warren so we can continue to do that.
Fantastic, because if I understood correctly in this business school, they don't guarantee that they will come back, right? As a matter of fact, they probably won't. So this is our chance, and as, dismissal as the numbers have been, I agree, Mr. Brown, but thank you so much, Ms. Porter, Mr. Brown, for bringing that with Mr. Warren. We appreciate your work, Mr. Warren, really with you and working with the elections department.
I also wanted to publicly recognize both Mr. Control and Mr. Warren in incredibly quickly putting together the package, putting together their staff to encourage that all voters in Dallas County would be able to have proper IDs to be able to vote. You were shining stars throughout the state. I think any other county in the state was able to convince DPS to come, first of all. And second of all, to put together that package. Now we also have to do our part, which is the community education and the voter education. This brand new law has got to be introduced and really tell voters what's going on.
There's another article in the Dallas paper today, I think, that has it.
The Dallas Morning News and their help is appreciated, but the two of you went above and beyond the call of duty, I think. But it's for the good of the voters of Dallas County, and that's what our priorities are. So thank you.
The issue was with such a short notice.
Absolutely.
And that is always the challenge. When I was looking at the numbers, God knows that I gave it all the different paperwork that I got from you, Tony. I distributed all over, where I was Saturday and Sunday, all the meetings. I mean, I'm sure they see me and, they know I'm going to give you more paper. But with that being said, I know my office, have blasted it to all the Spanish media as well as English media, and still with such a short notice. So.
Well, thank you for keeping the numbers, and I'd like to see those numbers continue.
You read my email.
Yeah, we read Commissioner Price, very optimistic. But with that being said, we have to continue to work.
We do have about 17 training classes for our judges and clerks to make sure that they are well-trained on procedures and process of voter ID.
Did we ever get the numbers back from the registration, national registration day for the high school kids and the public and private schools?
Yes,
Yes.
registered over 1,000, for that, for the 1,095, for that day.
Well, I think we did better on that one than we're going to do with the ID, but with that being said, also I remember Miss Tony, somebody asked, I want to say it was Miss Fane, I think she cried, about the Spanish bilingual, clerks. I mean, how is that going for the elections department?
We do have, are you talking about for this election?
Yes.
We do have our coordinator is working with us to ensure that we have bilingual clerks in each one of ours. We've established a contract with temporary service in the event that we can't, if we fall short on our candidates for this election, we always have the backup of our temporary agency. And we have multiple training classes for any last minute appointments of our bilingual clerks. And it is done in both English and Spanish, those classes.
Would you be kind enough to send me, the status as we move along? If I can help, I will help you any way I can.
We appreciate any help that we can.
Absolutely. Please, I'd be interested too. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your Spanish at our conference, press conference.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Item 4, purchase authority annual contract extensions. 4B, recommend approval of price adjustment request from resident medical for specific vaccines. Item 5, public works, recommend.
All those people with the mulching, are they making it in a tub in their home? I saw their EEO one, all 4 of them.
They're purchasing.
Oh, they're brokers.
Yeah, they're purchasing it from the manufacturer Merck.
Oh, so they're brokers, okay. I'll leave them so.
We thought they were putting it in the kitchen.
It's all 4 people.
Manufacturer.
Neither say when they're
No,
commercial
I agree.
now, so I just wanted to.
Sadly, Commissioner, is the only way we're getting cheaper now.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Item 5, public works, recommend execution of attached project specific agreement with the city of Carrollton with the Hut Brand Titan Bike Trail. Item 6, IT recommends early payment of $2.6 million for fiscal year 2014 budget for the participation of optional enterprise license agreement with Texas Court provided by the Urban Times and AMCAD in order to take advantage of a discount to the fee offered by AMCAD. I do have Mr. Vic answer any questions in addition to Charles Gray from the Urban County here that you might have on this item. You did receive the EEO one on the
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, we got it.
So just to clarify on the, I do apologize for getting that out late based on inquiries that came in from one of the other commissioners. But they basically have 3 documents. The first document there, it says in the middle of the page, it says Consolidated Report Type 2. That is for the entire organization for AMCAD. The second item is for their office, just for those Type 3 or those offices, for the offices they're currently their headquarters. And their Type 8 sheet is showing reflects the items there for their one of our items. So obviously the first one, the Type 2 report is for the entire organization. So it's basically a grand total.
This was originally handed out, Charles, I think the last time you were in court, you handed this out to the whole board.
Well, first of all, the offer on the table is a no-brainer. I'm always concerned about the numbers, but the offer on the table is a no-brainer. I guess, Mr. Brown, I guess that should be the deal. Where's the money?
When this project was originally briefed, it was briefed with a complete funding coming from the major capital fund with a reimbursement from the major technology fund over a 4 or 5 year period. So the project was set up with this, and the funds are set there and ready to go.
Yes, I think this too is an opportunity for us to get a little bit back from our investment over the years. So that's the good news of this, but.
I keep reading that, and Ray and Commissioners, I keep reading that, and I've seen But, you know, the forecast, I mean, you know, I'm supporting because we're saving $1 million upon loading, so. I know at some point in time, we are going to see a recoup.
We should be seeing that coming up with JCMS. Should be a $200,000 check coming in, and then a $400,000 check coming in.
Yeah.
Am I right, Charles? You got Denton County, and you have Travis.
Commissioner Charles Gray from Urban Counties. I just got confirmation this morning that we received a check from Denton County. We're scheduling a presentation, we'll receive a check for a little over $250,000 for their participation in juvenile. Travis County has approved their participation in juvenile for next year. This isn't the NCAP contract, this is the juvenile system.
Yes, yeah.
And you'll be receiving about $350,000 from the Travis County team. So we're beginning to see some of those recurring, some recovery of some of your investment. I know that you'll never get all your money back, Commissioner, but we're proud of the fact that as your nonprofit county-owned software company, we're able to return some of your money to you.
The bottom line is we produce it at a lower cost. In other words, it's developed at a lower cost than what we would pay for it. And maintenance and operations, much lower cost because of the other people that are helping us. And we're going to, since we're funding counties that actually get recoup, what I think at some point would be a majority of our development costs.
And we'll be in a better position to control what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think that puts Dallas County, Tarrant County, Travis County in a unique position in software development and what our business is as a county.
This transaction that we're asking you to consider today, you will own the system for Texas.
Right.
You'll be the owner of the system for Texas, including the source code.
Which is, the last valuable part, because in the future, we can charge for that, right?
That's right. That's correct.
But, and I'm going to support it, as I told Commissioner Daniel and Mr. Victor. I mean, I'm for it, like everybody says, saving the county money is an investment that I believe will pay off, if not in dividends, in, some recuperation of funds. However, I did say that meeting, Commissioner, and Mr. Victor, I would like to see more diverse participation in the contract. I know that the numbers that you gave us, there's some. But I agree with Commissioner Price. I mean, we can do better, and I'm going to support it. But with that statement,
What we thank you, Commissioner. I remember that. What we've done since I presented last time is we've changed our recruitment, staff services contracting. We now have 50% of the staff services folks are coming from women-owned or minority-owned businesses, and there's one company here in Dallas area that's actually recruiting for us, and one in Houston. So we've outsourced recruitment. Protect share, so our internal resources, we're expecting to increase our business.
thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to commend Major Victor and Administrator Martin, Gordon Hackle, and last but not least, the two commissioners sitting to my right, Teresa Daniel, Commissioner Teresa Daniel, Commissioner Mike Cantrell. Not only are we saving $473,000, but what's I think really the good deal about this, it's not so much the recoup, that's good, but if everybody buys in, we only recoup 1.2 or $2.6 million. But where we save money is on those source codes. If we didn't own the source codes, then they'd be sticking it to us we would pay a lot more every year. So to own the source codes is a real long-term plus for the county, so very tough.
I would add this just to clarify now, like Charles and me to come back up. I think the $1.2 million recoup now is just for those counties and cities that's right now. Is by purchasing the statewide license gives you the opportunity for any trial court or city and county in the state of Texas. Therefore, that $1.2 million would be just for those ones that are typically considering it now. Obviously, there are others that are typically there. And obviously, to me, that potential might actually.
Thank you. Comes down, Charles.
Item 7, communicating central services, authorizing request for an additional 5-month extension of the AT&T Tri-Solutions for hosting services at the Grand Prairie Circuit Courthouse. Item 8, budget 8A, Chicago travel training request. Item C, county criminal report number 10, recommended approval of county criminal report number 10, grant award to the Department of Justice, Office of Violence Against Women, and authorize the county judge to sign all related documents. Item D, recommended approval of county criminal report number 10, grant award from the Department of Justice, Office of Violence Against Women, and authorize the county judge to sign all related documents. We do need the judge to sign these grant awards immediately before we bring the contract back, so
Mr. Brandon.
the court of time will do
And
that.
I want to commend, staff and of course Judge Kindness, for the work in getting these funds with no match in Dallas County. And with one of them, the one that is the $300,000, which I believe is the more comprehensive one with Spanish translation, with involving all the different, problems that domestic violence and violence against women court can present. So I don't think Judge Kindness is here, but kudos. And thank you. And in these times where Mayor Rawlings and different groups are really pulling together to make domestic violence something that is in the forefront of all of us, I really appreciate his work and all of your work bringing this money into Dallas County schools. Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
If there are questions of miscellaneous information, Judge, you have those speakers listed there.
All right.
And,
All the time.
and on the miscellaneous, I also saw the security at Henry Way Juvenile System. Commissioner Price, I know that Mr. Martin, I know Mr. Brown, I know Dr. Smith, and several of the judges, the juvenile judges, have been asking for this security for a long, long time. I know Judge Herrera, among some of them, have come and said, Alba, if someone is not secure enough, is the juvenile department. I know I hear that from Dr. Smith as well. So thank you again, Mr. Martin, with your staff, and Mr. Brown, with Commissioner Price to, check for this. And we're still waiting for the rest of it, but hey, at least we'll move on.
I pushed the button on the rest of it, so.
Well, no, I think we all have.
Next week.
No, I know, and Mr. Martin has been working on that, and I understand that several of us have asked for that as well as the juvenile department. So I'm glad to see this and, this piece moving forward. Thank you.
Before we call for the closed session, let me take a moment of personal privilege to recognize a couple of people in the crowd today. I see Gary Fitzsimmons here.
Where is Mr. Fitzsimmons?
I just want to thank you for your tremendous service as a Dallas County. You got big shoes to fill, and the next person takes over. Thanks for all you do. Also in the crowd today is Mark York. Mark's newest job is he is the head of the Central Labor Council for Dallas for the AFL-CIO. But Mark was instrumental in working with the transport workers union and the folks who, in my mind, saved American Airlines. One of the first groups to call for merger. As I said last year, there's really no viable path long-term for American without a merger partner. Continue to work on that. It's one of the few areas where there's a little bit of disagreement between us and our good federal friends over the Obama administration, but Mark, we really appreciate your service to our community. And with that, the court's now recessed for its closed sessions. I'll go to check the time when we're going to go to closed session. Any action going to the closed session takes place in the closed session.